Did you know that Australia has an underwater post office where scuba divers can mail your postcards? And that a man once fought a kangaroo in the middle of the street and lost? Yes, Australia is the only place on earth where you might find a boxing match between a kangaroo and a professional boxer. Not to mention some of the scariest animals on planet Earth. I'm Jeremy, and today I'll bring you on a journey to the land down under. Buckle up, because this is going to be one ripper of a ride. We've got wild facts, jaw-dropping history, and of course, a few quirky tidbits along the way. So, grab your Vegemite toast and let's get started. The story starts way back, and that's an understatement. Australia's history began over 65,000 years ago with the First Nations peoples, making it home to the oldest continuous civilization on Earth. That's a history that puts the pyramids of Egypt to shame. The First Nations peoples didn't just survive in this harsh landscape, they thrived. They developed sophisticated techniques to manage the land, formed complex social systems, and mapped the entire continent through intricate song lines. Think of them as the original GPS, but with more fascinating descriptive directions marking the route across land or sky. These songs weren't tales to entertain. They were living maps of the land, explaining everything from the formation of Uluru to why kangaroos hop. Speaking of Uluru, this massive monolith isn't just a big rock. It's a sacred site that extends around 2.5 kilometers or 1.5 miles underground. That's right, what visitors see is just a tip of the sandstone. While indigenous Australians have been living here for tens of thousands of years, the European chapter of Australia's story kicks off with Captain James Cook in 1770. Though, to be fair, he was a bit late to the party. The Dutch explorer Willem van Zoon had already stumbled upon Western Australia back in 1606. They just weren't impressed enough to stick around. The first fleet sailed into what's now called Sydney Harbour in 1788. Picture this, 11 ships carrying around 850 people, most of them convicts from Great Britain and Ireland, rocking up to an area that would later become known as Circular Quay. Most were convicted of theft and petty crime and were sent down under as the jails were overflowing back home at the time. It is estimated that around 20% of the Australian population has a convict descendant in their family. Things kicked into high gear in 1851 when someone shouted "Gold!" and sparked the biggest gold rush you've never heard of. The population tripled in just 20 years, which makes modern viral trends look pretty tame in comparison. This golden era also featured the Eureka Stockade Rebellion. Think of it as Australia's version of the Boston Tea Party, but with more diggers, less tea, and a lot of angry miners rebelling against the policymakers at the time. Now let's talk about the land itself. Australia isn't just big, it's a continent masquerading as a country. Imagine taking all of Europe and saying, yeah, that's one country now. That's basically what you're looking at here. The Outback is the star of the show, covering 70% of the continent. This isn't your average desert. It's a place where temperatures can swing from below freezing to a scorching 50 degrees Celsius in a single day. It's so vast that some cattle stations are bigger than entire European countries. The Ant Creek station is larger than Israel. Try ordering takeout to that address. Australia also has some of the most unique landscapes on the planet. The Great Diving Range, which stretches over 3,500 kilometers from Queensland down to Victoria, is the third longest mountain range in the world. The Outback, on the other hand, includes some of the hottest places on Earth, where summer temperatures can exceed 50 degrees Celsius. This extreme environment is home to some of the most resilient wildlife and indigenous communities who have lived there for thousands of years. And then you have the Blue Mountains, which actually are blue, thanks to all the eucalyptus trees releasing oils into the air. It's like if nature had an Instagram filter in real life. Along the coastline, all 37,000 kilometers of it, you'll find where most Aussies live. You can't blame them really. Who would choose a scorching outback over a beautiful beach? Speaking of beaches, Fraser Island is the world's largest sand island. At 122 kilometers long, it is the largest sand island in the world. And get this, some indigenous Australian languages, such as Google Yamatir, don't have words for left and right. Instead, they use cardinal directions, like north, south, east, and west. So instead of saying, watch out, there's a snake to your right, they'd say, watch out, there's a snake to your east. So it's safe to say, you should probably have an internal compass. Time to meet the locals, and not the human variety. Australian wildlife is what you get when Mother Nature has a few too many creative drinks. Let's dive into this incredible menagerie of unique creatures that call this continent home. First up are those famous bouncing buffoons, the kangaroos. These guys might look cute, but they're surprisingly good swimmers and terrible at walking backwards. The red kangaroo can reach speeds of 65 kilometers per hour and leap 8 meters in a single bound. That's like jumping over a double-decker bus. And there isn't just one type of kangaroo. Australia has 60 different species of macropods, including wallabies, wallaroos, and the adorably tiny quokkas. Then there's the platypus, possibly the most ridiculous animal ever designed. When European scientists first saw a platypus specimen, they thought it was a hoax. Picture this: it has what you describe as a beaver's tail, a duck's bill, and an otter's feet. And just to make things interesting, the males are venomous, because being a duck-billed egg-laying mammal wasn't weird enough. In the waters, things get even more interesting. The Great Barrier Reef is home to 10% of all fish species in the world. It's like nature's greatest hits, all in one place. You've got the clownfish, yes, like Nemo, the massive Maori wrasse with this distinctive bump on its head, and the incredible leafy sea dragon. Imagine if a piece of seaweed decided to become a fish. Crazy, right? Speaking of dangerous creatures, Australia's got the full set. The inland taipan is the world's most venomous snake. The box jellyfish can kill you in minutes, and the Sydney funnel web spider looks like something straight out of a horror movie. But here's the thing: more people die from horse riding accidents in Australia than from all these creatures combined. And when it comes to the deadliest animals or insects in Australia, well, according to medical statistics, these are bees and wasps, not snakes. A bit anticlimactic, eh? Australian birds deserve a special mention. Take the kookaburra. Imagine crossing a bird with your most manically laughing friend. That's what wakes up Aussies every morning. Then there's a lyrebird, which can mimic anything it hears. Car alarms, camera shutters, chainsaws. It's like nature's DJ got carried away. The magnificent southern cassowary is a modern-day velociraptor with better fashion sense, standing 2 meters tall with a deadly kick and a horn on its head. Modern Australian culture is what happens when you mix ancient traditions with flat whites and Wi-Fi. Yes, Australia invented that. You're welcome, world. Melbourne is like that artsy friend who won't shut up about coffee and thinks every alleyway is an art gallery. It's consistently ranked among the world's most livable cities, with its labyrinth of laneways hiding some of the best restaurants, bars, and street art you'll ever find. Melbourne Cup horse race stops the entire nation. It's the only public holiday in the world dedicated to a horse race. Sydney is a glamorous one with good looks and expensive taste. Seriously, the house prices there would make a Manhattan real estate agent blush. The Sydney Opera House isn't just a pretty face. It hosts over 1,800 performances for more than 1.4 million people each year. And its design was so revolutionary, it changed modern architecture forever. Brisbane is that laid-back friend who doesn't believe in winter clothes, while Perth is so isolated it's closer to Jakarta than Sydney. Adelaide is known as the city of churches, but should probably be called the city of festivals, given how many it hosts each year. Sport isn't just a pastime in Australia. It's practically a religion. AFL looks like organized chaos to outsiders, but it is a complex tactical game that draws bigger crowds than most Australian sports. Cricket in summer is sacred, and the Boxing Day test at Melbourne Cricket Ground is as much a part of Christmas as Santa Claus. The beach culture is unlike anywhere else in the world. With 11,761 recorded beaches, Australians have turned beach going into an art form. Surf life saving clubs aren't just safety patrols, they're community institutions that have been around for over 100 years. Bondi Beach in Sydney has more Instagram posts than some European countries. Australian music has given the world everything, from AC/DC to Kylie Minogue, while Australian cinema has produced gems like Mad Max and Muriel's Wedding. The country punches well above its weight in the arts, with actors like Kate Blanchett, Hugh Jackman, and Nicole Kidman dominating Hollywood. Let's talk tucka. That's Aussie for food, and there are some incredible stories to tell. Australian cuisine is what happens when British colonial heritage meets Asian influence and says, let's get creative. And creative they got, sometimes maybe a little too creative. Take the native foods, or bush tucker. Kangaroo meat might raise eyebrows overseas, but it's one of the healthiest meats you can eat. High in protein, low in fat, and completely sustainable. Plus, Australia might be the only country that eats the animals on its coat of arms. Bush tucker, aka any food native to Oz, goes way beyond that though. There's wattle seed, which tastes like hazelnut coffee, mountain pepper, which puts black pepper to shame, and finger limes, nature's citrus caviar. And those witchy grubs that make tourists squirm, they taste like almonds, though you might prefer to take the locals' word for it. The wine industry is another Australian success story. The Barossa Valley and Hunter Valley produce wines that compete with the best from Italy and France. Fun fact, some of the oldest grapevines in the world are in Australia, surviving here while Europe's ancient vines were wiped out by diseases in the 1800s. Then there's Vegemite, Australia's national pride and the ultimate tourist challenge. It's like they invented a spread specifically to mess with visitors. The key is moderation, people. A thick layer of Vegemite isn't brave, it's just wrong. It's like trying to drink a whole bottle of soy sauce and wondering why you're not enjoying it. Modern Australia cuisine is a masterclass in fusion. You find Vietnamese rice paper rolls stuffed with kangaroo, native ingredients in fine dining restaurants, and some of the best Asian food outside of Asia. The Margaret River region combines world-class wineries with incredible seafood, while Tasmania's produce is so good that Japanese buyers snap up the entire wasabi crop before it even leaves the ground. Now let's talk about what keeps this sunburnt country running. And it's not just tourism and throwing shrimp on the barbie. Australia boasts the world's 13th largest economy, with a GDP of over $1.6 trillion. To put that into perspective, that's larger than Spain's economy and about the same size as Russia's. Not bad for a country with the same population of Shanghai. The Australian economy is a fascinating mix of old and new. While it's famous for its natural resources, the country is the world's largest exporter of iron ore, coal, and lithium. It is also a powerhouse in services and technology. The Australian Securities Exchange is the 13th largest in the world, and Sydney rivals Singapore as Asia Pacific's financial hub. Education is one of Australia's biggest exports. International education contributes more to the Australian economy than gold mining. Before the pandemic, there were more international students per capita in Australia than any other major country. This equated to one international student per 33.6 people in 2023. This agriculture sector might only contribute 3% to GDP, but Australian farms feed about 60 million people globally. Those vast cattle stations mentioned earlier, they're part of an agricultural export industry worth billions. Australian wool still clothes the world, with merino wool being one of the country's most prestigious exports. Innovation is a huge part of the story too. The country is also positioning itself as a renewable energy superpower, with massive solar and wind projects in development that will power Singapore through undersea cables. But it's not all Tim Tams and fairy bread. Australia faces some serious environmental challenges. The Great Barrier Reef, the crown jewel and the world's largest living structure, is like the canary in the coal mine when it comes to the effects of climate change. Researchers say temperatures in and around the vast coral reef are the highest they've been in 400 years. Oh, and did you know the reef is the only living structure on Earth that is visible from space? The Aussies are fighting back though. The country has more solar panels per capita than any other nation. They figured if the sun's going to try to cook them, they might as well put it to work. Scientists are developing world-first conservation techniques, and there's a growing movement to integrate indigenous land management practices that have worked for tens of thousands of years. Turns out the First Nations knew a thing or two about taking care of the place. From dream time to modern times, from deadly spiders to flat whites, and ancient astronomy to solar farms, Australia isn't just a place. It's a living, breathing story that's still being written. Whether it's the square-pooping wombats, the war-losing emus, or the city-sized cattle stations, this incredible country never ceases to amaze and surprise. It's a land of contradiction, ancient and modern, harsh and beautiful, isolated and connected. Don't forget to like the video faster than a kangaroo on a hot tin roof, and hit that subscribe button harder than a boxing room. Tell us in the comments what surprised you the most about Australia. Was it the ancient astronomy? The blueness of the Blue Mountains? Or maybe just the fact that they've somehow turned the world's deadliest animals into tourist attractions? Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out videos like this one and follow for more. And go ahead and hop into the next related video just like this one. And until next time, see you in the land down under. Cheers, y'all.